Yeah, I think we're live now. We should be
Yeah,
live in
I got a
a
request
prompt.
to approve. Yeah, prompt.
Okay, awesome.
So shall I start or?
Yeah, feel free to
Ah,
start.
Hi, thank you all. Thank you for listening, and let's have a great conversation about a project that we have been. I forgot when we started. Is it like earlier this year,
Yeah,
Benedict?
April to be
April.
precise. Yeah.
So I have really two awesome mentees, which is Agnes and Mohammed. So what we started out, our aim is to document the biodiversity of Africa, or sub-Saharan Africa, to be precise, using Wikipedia or the Wikimedia ecosystem. And what we did, we started the project on iNaturalist. I will give a very short description of what iNaturalist is. iNaturalist is a crowdsourcing app and a community where you can use your phone and you can record the biodiversity in your proximity. And by doing so, the community will, and some machine learning, will try to guess and say what you're seeing. And we are using that as a contribution to create Wikipedia articles in various languages. So Agnes and Mohammed have been making some observations. Our project has been grown to 10 observers. Everybody who is more than welcome to join us, because the more data we have, the better it becomes for us to create a lot of content and to document the biodiversity in sub-Saharan Africa. And I would like to refer to the previous recording if you haven't seen the details yet. But what we're going to do now is we're going to use the data that has been observed. So we now have, since April, collected 1,800 observations of 1,000 species. These are plants or animals. And there are 429 people who have identified what we've seen. And the group now contains 10 observers. And we can always use a lot more. So now the next step is we would really like to start writing the Wikipedia article. So now we need to identify what is it that we are seeing. So if I'm gonna take a random observation of this group. Need to go to the list. So here we have one observation from someone in our network, and it has. So as you can see, what happens here is in the proximity of Tamale, a picture was made of this plant, and then someone in the group says, "I think this is a genus Heliconia." So iNaturalist works a bit like a social media platform. Once it has been confirmed by more users, it will get into what is called and I'm going to find one in the list, in something that is called, like we have here, a research grade, the Tihonia diversifolia. And this plant, as you can see, Agnes and Neirat, they argue that this is the Mexican sunflower, which was seen in the neighborhood of Abuja. And I hope I pronounced that city correct. If that's not the case, I apologize. And now we can actually go here and see what is this plant about. So we can actually, so you can see other pictures that have been made by the community about this little plant. And here you can see there are Wikipedia articles. There is a Wikipedia article. So the app actually uses Wikipedia as a platform to describe the species we're interested in. But we have about 1,800. I'm checking. We have about 1,800 observations. So now the question is, which of these plants that became research grade, which are observed in Africa, are actually not described in Wikipedia yet? That is the question. So we could go to every single observation here, click on it, and then hopefully, so here we have again in Abuja by Agnes. We can check and we can look at the name and then check again. This plant has already been written by the Wikipedia as a Wikipedia article. So, but this will be time consuming. What we are interested in are those plants and animals, or the flora and fauna, that don't have a Wikipedia article yet. So what we have done is we have created a Jupyter notebook, and Jupyter notebook is a platform that it built across on top of Python, and it allows to run scripts. So in this here, you have a new Jupyter notebook, and I'm going to launch it. And we'll go through this code. That's the crux of this meeting is to, or the core of this meeting is to go through this code and explain what is happening in this Python script. So what it is doing is I'm running it all, and what it will show is a user interface. Now I can do 4 choices here. So I can, and again, I'm going to be very quickly here because I refer to the previous YouTube that mentions that goes into details on this. But we can check for a taxon, we can check for a user, we can check for a country, and we can track for a project. So let's stick with a project. We are interested in this Wikimentor Africa data collection project that we have set up on iNaturalist. Again, for the details on setting up, joining this project, or using iNaturalist, I refer to the iNaturalist.org page. So now I'm running this in project ID, which is Wikimentor Africa data collection. We are only interested in licenses that allow reuse on Wikipedia. And then we can select which Wikipedias do we want to use. So we can check the Dagbani, English, Spanish, French, Igbo, and Portuguese Wikipedia. As we now go to English Wikipedia, and I said run interact. What it's now going to do is going to contact 2 APIs. So the APIs are the access points where this tool is connecting to. The access point first is checking iNaturalist. So it's going to the access point, sorry for that, of iNaturalist, which is now consulting. So it's taking all the observations that have been collected, the 1800 observations that have been collected in the project, and is checking that. Once it's checked, it's now going to Wikidata, and it's checking in Wikidata which Wikipedia articles in English don't exist. And here we have. So here we have a bunch of observations in iNaturalist by the Sub-Saharan Africa iNaturalist community, and there are actually quite some. So of these observations, there is either no Wikipedia article or there is a modeling issue. I will only mention this now because it's a code review, and maybe in a later session we should explain how to distinguish between a Wikipedia article and a coding session. I'm really eager. Maybe we should schedule or plan a Wikipedia editathon where we try to describe as many Wikipedias as possible. But for now, it's a coding review, so I'm only mentioning it. So here we see all these images. So now what I can do is, if I'm interested in writing a Wikipedia article for Colpoon compressum, which is the scientific name of this plant, it immediately spins out to yet another API, which is GBIF, and it aggregates data from GBIF. Then goes to Creative Commons, to Wikimedia Commons. It checks whether there are images. It goes to the literature, and it finds literature. So basically, what we're doing in this Jupyter notebook is collecting knowledge and data from various online open and free resources to build a Wikipedia article. And once we have the data, we can actually argue. We can put content to Commons. Again, for this step, I refer to the previous YouTube. And after having updated the Wikimedia Commons page, we get a template which currently is empty for the new Wikipedia article. So 2 other things. What is the main part? I forgot to include. So we actually are consulting 5 resources in here, which is iNaturalist, which happens here, iNaturalist, Wikidata, GBIF, Creative Commons, and BHL. And these BHL, and this is all happening in this YouTube. I'm quickly mentioning 2, which are, in my opinion, the most important in this initial step, which is we are referring to the API reference. So this is a page if you're interested in. So what we're going to do is we're going to access. So in the previous video, we have been accessing iNaturalist directly to the browser, to the website. But if you're interested in programming and accessing, so getting the data to really do things at scale, this is the page that you have to go to, which is the iNaturalist pages and the API references, where it explains every part of the API. It also consults the Wikidata query engine or the query surface, which uses the query language Sparkle. Please remember these two resources. I'm going to pause for a minute. There is no question, at least in the chat. I'm going to pause for a minute to ask if there are questions so far. And while we're waiting for the answer, can I have a hand raise in the chat? Who is already using iNaturalist and is interested in joining the project, just as a sort of marketing? You want to ask a question? Go ahead.
I think he was just trying to answer your question as regards who is using the iNaturalist.
Okay, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just trying to say that because you said people who are already using iNaturalist should raise up their hands.
Yeah. Okay, in that case, I also should use the opportunity to put you on the spot because you're also one of our heroes in this project. So, okay, so so what I've done is, so this is what the code has been doing. So if you want to dive, before I'm going really into the going through the codes, if you're interested in following up and building Jupyter books, and like we're going through in a minute, I can highly recommend going to PAWS, which is a Jupyter notebook server hosted by Wikimedia. I will quickly open it. You open it, you sign in with Wikimedia, you use your Wikipedia/Wikidata account. You're logging in, and what it's giving you a page, an option to develop Jupyter notebooks or the scripts. Let's wait for a second while it's preparing, because there are more options. I believe in this network you also work with OpenRefine. So maybe another question is who in this group do I need to go into the details of using this, or is it familiar territory? So okay, while I'm waiting, so
I'm not sure it's a familiar territory.
Say that again, sorry.
I'm not sure it's a familiar place. I'm sure it's one of the newest places for most Wikimedians.
Yeah, so basically it's a very convenient place where you can get you can say computer time. So you can use this to do some calculations. There is a lot more. So what we are going to work on today is this Python 3 notebook, but there are others. So you have Bash, Julia, OpenRefine, R Studio, and Sparkle. And I highly recommend, just for the fun of it, to go through get yourself a PAWS account and start playing with PAWS, and not only with Python but also with Sparkle, and try to identify the documentations for the single applications. So R and R Studio is when you want to do when you want to do some serious statistics, or whether you want to use some nice visualizations. I'm not confident. Every time I need to run a R script, I have to go back to Hello World and check those things. Same for Sparkle. I believe in this network you had tutorials on OpenRefine, so I refer to those documents. But I highly recommend to look at this PAWS and start playing with building tools in the Jupyter server. But we're only going to work with Jupyter, but the Jupyter for Python. And basically what I now can do is, and I'm going to briefly mention Rosalind.info, which is a platform where you can learn Python in the Python village. And if you're interested in bioinformatics, you can use the others. But in Python village, you can learn you talk about Python. And basically, we can start writing scripts. So like print hello, and so this is a command to say I want to print hello, and run it, and you see the text is there. So this is how it works. And what is really convenient about using Jupyter Notebooks is that you can basically, when you're developing your code, you can basically write your code in a step, check it, and then continue to a new cell, which is this is a cell, and work from there. So I'm using a tool called PyCharm, and in PyCharm you can actually also use Jupyter Notebooks. And if I do a new, and I can actually set a new Jupyter Notebook, in that case, the Jupyter Notebook is not running on pause, but it's running on my, so if I can say hello WMA, and if I start that, it will like in, I'm not going to push this to GitHub, but like I have here in pause, I can do the same thing. I can say print hello WMA, and I say run. It's running, and I have the in PyCharm you have you have also the option to not work within the IDE itself, but you can, by clicking on the globe, you can get a similar interface. So here we are having exactly the same thing. Look at the similarity. So here we have these. Here we had the, where is the, here. I'm going to grid. So this is running on my computer locally, which is very convenient if you don't, if there is a flunky internet connection, because then you have no issues. You can continue offline until the level that you need internet connection to do some tasks. In this case, it is it's running on the Wikimedia hardware, which it has the benefit that if it has, so you when you have so the connections from this service to other services is pretty good. So when for example my internet is not running well, I go to pause, because from there I can go to many places. So the connections from that Jupyter server to other computers is not disrupted, but things might disrupt between my computer and that server. Let me pause here for a minute. Any questions? If not, let's dive into. So I have shown this Jupyter Notebook Stub Maker. Oh, and by the way, if you are if you have a very strong background in other languages, and you have a better way of building this, please feel free to copy, replicate, or do it better, because that would only benefit us to get more and better quality of the documentation of the biodiversity in sub-Saharan Africa. I think, which link are you referring to? In the meantime, I will do all.
Yeah, the link to the Jupyter Notebook.
Okay, so this is
participants can have a look at it.
So this is the, so I'm going to share this with you.
So while you're sharing this, is it possible that people, whoever is viewing this, don't change anything, just download it? I don't know. Are you sharing can they tweak this if you share this one?
What do you mean with download?
I'm referring to, if you're sharing the link to this, is it going to be view only, or is it going to be, are they going to, oh, I think you have to sign in. I was asking if it's going to be view only, or.
So I'm not going to, okay, good point. So I was actually, what I'm going to share is, this is the main pause thing. And so there you have to log in, and you will get your own empty box on Hub. So that is, you won't see these scripts that I all have here. So as you can see, I have a lot of codes working here. So you will get a thing of your own. I can share this, but I need to figure out a bit. I think this is pause public link. So for example, I can click on this, and I think I can share this, but this is not this is something you cannot run. So you need to download it and again run it in your own Jupyter notebook or import it into your own PAWS. This is something that we can do, but the code is also shared on GitHub, and I just need to quickly find it. Jackson, here it is. So this is the Wiki project Biodiversity, and we have yet another way of launching a Jupyter notebook, which I will not dive into today. So we're using this binder link, which you can also use. But for those details, I recommend to go to Google to read about binder and following the link. But this is the code that I'm running in the Jupyter, in the PAWS servers of Wikimedia. So you can import these links. But please wait with that after this code, because what we're going to review today is the StubMaker 1 notebook that we're using and a script taxon.py. And you need both. So you need to load both in your PAWS server or your local Jupyter server. Okay, and I thought I need to share this as well. So this is, where is the, oh, I need to find the chat. Ah, there it is. So this is the source code. Okay, did I miss anything that still needs to be shared, or? So we have the PAWS, we have the public link to the little script the little notebook that I've just written, and we have the source code of the StubMaker. What I will also do is I will actually share the official, no, this is my thing, so I need to, but no, let's wait for the full script. So I would really like, if there are no other questions, I would like to dive into the source code now. So I'm going back to our notebook. So first thing first, I'm really now going to dive into the details. If it's boring or it's just confusing, please stop me and I will do a step back and I can see how we can do it before. So I'm the first step in the Jupyter notebook. So the Jupyter notebook is actually a simple set of recipes. It's going through the steps and it goes through the steps as the programmer or the programmer's group sees it. So in the first section, I am using something which I call capture. This is a specific thing for Jupyter notebook. And what I will do is I will remove it now to show what capture does. So I'm removing this. And now when I push this button, it will run. As you see, it's now showing the whole line of everything that it's running in this cell. So it's doing some warnings and doing some requirements. And since it's already loaded, this is not very long. So I don't want to be confused by these texts. So what I do is to hide it, I add a capture. So now if I run it, it will just run. And I know it's finished when I see this line that we just saw is finished, and we have the number 9. The next step is it's building on the Wikidata integrator. So the Wikidata integrator is, let's go there for a minute. The Wikidata integrator is a library that is built to interact with Wikidata. And since we're going to use Wikidata to identify the missing Wikipedia articles, we do that. This is a package that that contains code to run Sparkle queries and to do a lot of things with the Wikidata API, that we don't have to rebuild in this application. So that is what we're doing here. It is also importing a BibTeX, which is a library to deal with references. This is something we use to deal with the Biodiversity Heritage Library. BibTeX is a library format for LaTeX, and LaTeX is also something I can highly recommend to learn. It allows you to develop professional looking documentation, and it takes a lot of. Basically, you can write documents. It's a programming language for documents, and then it imports a lot of things. So I can actually now see that I can actually start removing part of these codes because it's grayed out. So we have the Beautiful Soup. Beautiful Soup is a really awesome library to parse HTML pages. So if you're interested in consuming HTML pages or other websites, I can recommend looking at Beautiful Soup. It imports taxons. I will come back to that. This is the second most important part of this script. And then we have, so what we have done with install is it's installing those packages locally. Once that is the case, it's going to import specific parts of that library. So we are interested in WDI core. We want the BibTeX parser. We want requests. Request is a package to deal with importing links. Pandas is also is a way to work with data frames, JSON. So these are all libraries that we're going to use in this Jupyter notebook. So now I'm going to step back a bit to taxon. So as you can see, what I want to have in the end is this I should actually show this in the browser, is this user interface. And what I actually want to do is to use the user interface alone. I actually don't want this text because this text to the users is very confusing, especially this empty line, which I should remove, and I'm going to do that since it's a code review. So here we have a line that I find that I don't think we should have, so I've removed it. It's still here, but if I refresh it, it won't be there anymore. So I actually want to get rid, but there is a lot more code, and I will show that now. If we go to taxon, which is here, this is Python script. So here is a Python script that is happening in the background. So we have a class external data, and in this one, it is fetching all the APIs. So here you can see, for example, a line. It wants the date now. So it takes the date with this line, date time dot now. It takes that date, it stores it locally, and we have the time. We are going to use this time later in the script to make timestamps. But that's why we have now. We're interested in the iNaturalist ID. This is the identifier that is being used by iNaturalist, and we're interested in that. It's fetching all the data. So this line, we have fetch iNaturalist and the iNaturalist ID. So what it's doing here, and it is fetching, based on the ID, it is fetching all the information that you can get from iNaturalist, and it stores it in a variable called iNaturalist data. It's doing the same for parent data. So for in biology, we have species, but a species are part of any of genus or a family or a order. And what we're interested in not only what the species it is, but also to more rougher clusters that we're interested in. So we're fetching that information in here. So in these three lines, and we are fetching the information already for iNaturalist. Now we're moving to Wikidata. We want to get anything that we are interested in Wikidata, and we fetch it here. Wikidata self. I'm going to increase it a bit, hoping that you can see it. And what it is doing here, what we're doing in this line, is that we are fetching all the information we can get from Wikidata. So again, this is the script that we're building here is pretty simple. In this, straightforward. It's not simple, but straightforward. We are actually collecting data from different resources, it being Wikidata, it being iNaturalist, and we're saving that information to be processed later. So we are fetch Wikidata. Now, fetch Wikidata is a function that I will show later, and it's fetching that data. and it's doing the same. So then it's processing, it's extracting the PID, it is extracting the QID being the Wikidata ID of that species. Same for the parent QID. So we have now collected iNaturalist information and stored it. We have collected Wikidata information on the species we're interested in and stored it. We are collecting GBIF data here and stored it. And finally, we have let me see, we are interested in collecting the biodiversity heritage library and the references. I'm going to pause a bit here because I want to show what, so we are not yet publishing it, but if you go to the browser and we go back here, you can see what we are collecting. So everything that you see in this page, it being the images and the GBIF links, which we have here, the photos we're getting from Creative Commons, and the references we are showing here. All these things are collected in these steps. And references, etc. So we haven't done anything with the information yet. It's just collecting from the different APIs. And also, I should pause a bit here because what you're missing in this code, which is showing bad on me, is that I don't have fail catching. So what you often do in Python is, because if the iNaturalist API is out, or the Wikidata API is out, or the GBIF API is out, this script will fail. And this is still missing in this script, because if the Wikidata fails, the script should stop. Well, it will stop now, but it will give a messy error. And what we want to do is we want to catch that error and have a more readable page where it says Wikidata is out of service or is disrupted. Please retry in a few minutes. So in this script, there are still some errors that needs to. It's a script work in progress. Let's continue. So we are still in the main. Okay, and I'm going to step back again because we are still in the Stub maker here. So what I'm doing is I'm importing taxon, and from taxon, what it's doing is that it's importing all the scripts and codes that have been written here. So we have fetch iNaturalist, which I will continue in a minute. I have fetch GBIF, this is all the code. Remember, in the previous point, I addressed the different APIs that we're using. That is what is happening here. So from code line 38 to code line 46, we are processing the iNaturalist information. From GBIF, we are collecting the data here, and from Wikidata, we are collecting in here up until from line 53 to line 50. Okay, this is a code that is still work in progress. So I'm going to update Wikidata. This was an initial attempt to also when the information that we are collecting in iNaturalist and GBIF is not yet in Wikidata, it should write it to that. But this part of the code, so from line 86 to so what we're doing here is building up the Wikidata page, and it is writing it. But this is currently idle code, so we're going to leave it for that. Here we have the fetch BHL. So again, like the previous codes, it is collecting the BHL information, and here it's building the Wikipedia article. I'm going to come back to this specific page a bit later, because here we write the code for the different languages. So I'm going to scroll over this quickly. It's the last part. So what we're doing here, what is happening in this script taxon.py is all the code that we need to build to first collect data from Wikidata, from the different resources, it being iNaturalist, GBIF, BHL, etc., and also communicate with Wikidata, and in the end create a stub. We decided in this stub we are not pushing to the Wikipedia API because we want the human review. So what it does, what this Jupyter Notebook does, it creates the wiki text for a Wikipedia article. It presents that, and then it's to the user to select and copy that page and paste it to the Wikipedia page. So I'm going back to this in a minute, but let's first continue here. So this import taxon imports all the code that I've just scanned over. And for the others, I would recommend you reading the individual manuals. Otherwise, we need a lot of time to go over that. So then we continue. So again, this is maybe code that should also move to the taxon py, because this is again a function. So it's fetch missing Wikipedia articles. So here it is taking photos. This is the code that actually happens when we push the button, which I demonstrated here. So when I push this button, run interact, it will check all the internet iNaturalist IDs, and these are all functions to do specific things. So in this case, it first is loading fetch missing Wikipedia articles. It's fetching the photos. We have a text. It parses the results, and for each missing article, we have the photos. And while I'm reviewing this, I think so. We have. So then it checks the information it reviews from this part, and then it builds. That's what we're doing here. It's built a list of a list that should be verified. It verifies this. So once we have all the missing Wikipedia articles, it's fetching in Wikidata to verify. So, sorry, I should go back. What it's doing here is to identify missing Wikipedia articles that needs to be written. So it's going over that, it's pushing it to Wikidata, and then we have a function that verifies with Wikidata. And what it does here is it starts out with a widget, and what we're doing here is what you saw here. This is a progress bar that just pushes how far it is in analyzing the script. So this is the form. It takes and it goes to Wikidata, and what it now is doing with all the information that we're looking from iNaturalist, that we got from all the observations for iNaturalist, it's building the Sparkle query from that list. So this is the Sparkle query that checks with Wikidata if I'm building the Sparkle query here to send to the Wikidata query service to identify which of the Wikipedia articles are missing. And so it builds the query here for every. So we have a list, and and then it checks, and it just goes over the Wikidata query service, and it will return a list of missing Wikipedia articles. So that is all that is happening here, and it will return a verified. Again, this is a code that should go into the other library, but it's for some odd reason it's still here. And then the next step is that we want to render the results, and again we have a progress bar, and here it is actually publishing the page. And what I mean with render, it is of all the information that was collected from the different resources, it's now rendering it in a page that we can start reading it. Result, so you see here is for result in the photos. It builds a table. It puts the photo in there. It makes a table results. And we have a list for verified. It goes for all the text that we have in there, and it returns the populated box it returns the populated box of the information that we have here. The next line is fetch by user. So this is the code that feeds, that is for this purpose. So you type in, you could for example, put in here, that happens here. We have the username, which is this. It have the license, which is this. And we have Wikipedia, which is this. And it then starts fetching the Wikipedia, it's fetching the information from iNaturalist. So it's again building an API, iNaturalist.org, observations, the photo license is license, which is there. The quality grade is research. We want 200 pages, which is the maximum. And then we have a user ID, which is the username. We can do the same for fetch by taxon, which is this tab. Again, it builds the iNaturalist. We have fetch by project, which is the one we have here, which we have used. So in the fetch by project, it again uses the API of iNaturalist, fetch by country. And here is a bit confusing because we're using multiple steps for the same buildup. So here we have the search by taxon. I think I should pause here a bit because it might need some cleanup from my part, because I think I have some redundant code in here. Because here we have search by taxon, search the species place, and okay, so what we have seen from line 137 until line 168 is the code that is being that is put in action when we push one of these buttons for these 4 tabs: search by taxon, search by user, search by country, and search by project. In this page is a specific function which builds the, and I'm not really happy with this, but if you have a better way, by all means, let's talk, is which it builds this mosaic with all the photos that we have here. That is what this function does in collaboration with this gallery. And basically what I did here as I copy paste. So what I also do a lot, and I can only recommend doing this when I need a specific functions, which one is, for example, building a gallery of photos of the missing pictures. I'm not building that from scratch. So what I then do is I go to a page, and you probably know it. If not, I can only Stack Overflow, Stack Overflow, and you can ask questions here: how to build a gallery in Python or Jupyter. I should actually say Jupyter. Basically how to build a gallery, photo gallery in Jupyter notebook. So and I'm now I want to check for Stack Overflow. So here you have one example. So I will not go into the details, but you can actually get a plethora of you can get a lot of code examples from here, which is also what happens here. So you can actually see I just copy pasted that, and then I tweaked it a bit into the functions. So this is the code that built all the stuff. So again, stepping back a bit, what we are doing so far. So I'm going through the code in a sequential manner from top to bottom and over the 2 scripts that we have, but they are not run in that order. Basically, they are run whenever there's a storyline in the query. When a specific button is pushed, different parts of this code is acted upon. So now we're going to this page, and this part is basically the code, and we will go through it. It's basically the code that generates this user interface. So I'm building here. I'm building some tabs, which are widgets, and then I have the main tab, which is a widget. It's a tab of tabs. So here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're all empty tabs. And then I'm setting a title for the different 6. So we have one is iNaturalist, set title iNaturalist, going back, which is put into here. Set title GBIF, set title GBIF, set title CC0, CC by iNaturalist images. We have here, it's too big, so you don't show it in here. BHL, BHL, Commons, Commons, Wikipedia, Wikipedia. As you can see in this code, the user interface is being built. Then with tab 1 being this one, and set title is iNaturalist, which we have in here, and it says clear output, which is should whenever you refresh it, the page should be emptied. And then I'm defining some functions. So this is the last step, which is where it creates the Wikipedia article, which is the final step. So again, the code is not always treated in the order it's being presented here from top to bottom. And so I'm then saying, here is the link that is being used in the final step to write the Wikipedia article. Then here I have get data, which is, it start building the HTML. So I have the table, and it's populating the table with the information that we have collected in the previous steps. So we have stub type, iNaturalist taxon ID, name, and you can actually see that again. iNaturalist taxon ID, name, iNaturalist taxon ID. So here is actually being name, rank, parent ID, etc. We have an output widget which builds the which is, I actually don't know what this is. I need to review it. Let's park it for now. Then with tab 2 being GBIF. It says clear output, so empty it first. Maybe there might be old content, so first release it, and then building the HTML2 page, which is this, which is a table. And I'm fetching the data from GBIF data, which is being built in this, which I showed you earlier when it fetched the information for ID. And I'm then going over the data, and I'm building a HTML table in here, and it's pushing this to the specific one, and that is what you're seeing here. This is the information that was collected from the GBIF site and is being shown. Going to tab 3, it is this one. And what it's doing here, it is fetching photos from iNaturalist that are eligible. So all these images are in iNaturalist for this specific page. So it fetches it here, and then it's images in iNaturalist with the license allowing reuse in Wikipedia, and it's building the page, which is what you're seeing here. Tab 4, which is here, which is where in tab 4 we are building the references that it on this specific plan, the called Poon Compressum, in the Biodiversity Heritage Library. Again, we're going over this and populating the table and publishing it. Tab 5 is about Commons. So it's checking the Wikidata service again. I'm rushing a bit because we're getting to the top of the hour and we're almost there. So Commons, it's fetching Commons, which is what we see here. And what it's telling us here is that the Commons category doesn't exist. Again, we went through this step in the previous YouTube, and we create a Commons category. So what we're doing in this step is it's checking Wikidata through this Commons query, whether or not there is a category on Commons for this species. If the query result is 0, you will get the text edit create Commons category, which we saw here. So when I click on this, it is going to the Commons page, And what I chose to do is publish the, where are we? Publish the text category plus, so category is some text that we can copy. So basically, I published the text here, which we can do here, and we can write. And if I now push in Wikidata integrator, which is another step, I think I mentioned this in the previous talk, integrator, and I can save it. I'm not going to do this because I want to check it in more detail, because we're not talking about comments, but I should now push comments, and this page will now exist in comments. And then the final step, which is what we have here. So basically it creates here, it provides a link that if there is no category in comments, it creates this text, and this text, which I can copy paste and start building the Creative Commons. If it does exist, it will show you the link. It will create a link that points to that Commons category, and it populates the thing. And finally, and here it is doing some administration that I think I'm going to leave it for now, but it's doing some administration with creating pull down menus. As you can see here, enwikipedia.org, etc. It's creating some pull-down menus to populate this. Okay, and then the final step, which was one in Taxon, is where it's the creative Wikipedia stuff. So what we have done up in this now is we go from iNaturalist to BH to GBIF to, again, iNaturalist for the images, to, again, the Biodiversity Heritage Library. It collects all the information. And at some point it asks you to interact with and select the most relevant parts or the most beautiful image, fix it and position it in comments. And in the final step, we have a Wikipedia stop that we can use to start a new Wikipedia article, which is what we call the stop, and hence the name stop generator. So basically what it does, and this is happening in this step, what it does is it first checks if the Wikipedia is selected. And again, I am referring to this. So to this menu, we have now code in place for these languages. And it should be 300 Wikipedia articles, but we are not there yet. So we have Dagbani, English, Spanish, French, Igbo, and Portuguese. And in this card, we're building this. So we start with the Dagbani Wikipedia. And we have, so it's basically, we're collecting the information that we have there. And then we start in here with the code. So for example, if the references is bigger than 0, it should fill a page with we call recommended rating. And then and put in the section that we want to get in there and create a link to the Biodiversity Heritage Library. So this section will get into the Wikipedia Dagbani article. And this is the Wikipedia article that is going to be the stop in the Dagbani Wikipedia. We have the data box, we have the e-class, we have the name and some predefined text, we have the recommended reading, we have the reference list, we have the stop, we have some external links, and that's it. So what it will do is it will collect the data, and of course we should make this more detailed, which is the process we still need to go through. So the idea is that it builds initial stops which collects information from the other resources. Same for now, we're going to the Igbo. So the Igbo is for now only the link to the Dagbani, to the data box, and a name and a link stop. This is still work in progress that we should extend. We have the English Wikipedia article. The English Wikipedia article is this template. And for the sake of time, I will rush through it, so it takes in here, you see all the numbers. These are all items that have been selected in the process so far. References, stop, and then return the English Wikipedia article. And basically, then we can actually, maybe I should quickly go to a previous one. What does it look like if I go to a Wikipedia article? So basically, most of my new Wikipedia articles that you see here are built with this script. So for example, here you see, this has a bit more information because after I made the stop, I start actually writing additional. This whole text is the most common species of its genus. It's not something that was generated with the Stub generator. Let's go to the first part, and you can see what this was, the first one. So this is a text of the Cocaina speciosa as a species from the genus Coquina. And this wasn't even added. So we have, this is the basic information that gone in there thanks to the Stub maker. Yeah, it's always a bit hard to find, which is actually quite nice, but I'm still trying to find a one that is still pretty empty, because what the whole idea about the Stub maker is that you have a Stub and other people in the community start building on that, but that you have the basics information with the info boxes and etc. in there, which saves me time. Is it this one? No, also this one is also already populated. Let's go randomly. Yeah, here you see, actually I wrote this already manually. So if you ignore this line, it's recorded from Chile and Argentina, and only check. So the Stub was Lassia carfina, is a species of the fly from the genus Lafia in the family. And we have some references. We have the info box, we have the taxon box, and we have a Stub link. That's all the Stub maker does. But what it does, it collects information, it collects references, it collects identifiers, and it collects images from and puts it in a ready format from where we can grow actual Wikipedia articles. And now I am going back to the code. So this was a very quickly run through. And I would like to know, I understand that it was sometimes a bit rushy and it was overwhelming, but I'm happy to discuss anything in here. Any questions? Benedict, do you think I should put in some clarification?
Yeah, I think so far everything went well. And for me, one other thing I wanted to also point out is that even for people who might have missed one or two things about the code walkthrough, the good thing is that you can also find this on our YouTube channel, so you can rewatch it and understand it. And then one other key thing about this code walkthrough, for those of us on the Telegram group that you saw me mentioned today, is that those on the front end team, you can also see that there are opportunities for you to come in here, in the sense that you can start looking at how to build like a front end for this. So which is also something you should also be considering as well. Those I can see Accurate and some other guys in the front end team here already. So I'm just throwing that out. So maybe during your next discussion with your mentor, Temple, you might bring that up as well. And then also, I don't know if everybody is fine with that. Okay, I'm seeing Accurate saying yes. We can easily rewatch. Oh yeah, you can really easily rewatch it, like I said. I don't know if any other person has any question for Andrea. And then one other thing I also want to point out is that we also have Andrea on the Telegram group. Always feel free to ask questions. I noticed in the Telegram group, nobody asks questions, like ask questions there. We have our mentors there. They are willing to answer these questions. So feel free to ask the question. If he doesn't see it, don't worry, I will tag him, you will see it. So please just ask the questions also there, in case if you didn't follow or you missed one or two things also. And then, like Andrea said, we are way past, okay, not so much past the hour. So I don't know if Andrea has any other thing to add.
Yeah, I actually maybe also want to mention that although you suggested that this should be a friendly space policy, I maybe should actually give everybody a card to not be friendly with this code. So, and even with me, the thing is, which is something, I mean, if you're a purist Python developer, you will sometimes had cringy. It probably was cringy, because do know that I didn't write this in a professional manner. I was actually, and that is where Jupyter Notebook is really, really great, because I can actually just go. I'm not trying to make super professional code here. I'm trying to get a thing across. What I really wanted to do here was aggregate data from different resources, collect it, and present it in a way so I can actually make a better Wikipedia article. Having said that, I'm aware that this code, and even when I was going through this, so this was a very good exercise for myself. I sometimes was like, okay, this is embarrassing. So I'm totally fine with you trashing my code. I'm totally fine with you calling me names and saying I'm a bad programmer. I really, really don't mind. If the purpose is that we get a better pace and a better program to create Wikipedia content, I'm totally fine being insulted. And maybe in person, I prefer people be friendly with me, but in this specific context, I have no problem with being trashed in my code if the purpose is that we get better code. Or if someone just comes in and says, oh, this was so messy, give me a week and next week I'm going to show you and I will be happy to be there. Maybe that's something I wanted to add.
Oh, okay. Let me just help to rephrase this because I'm not so comfortable with the being comfortable with the trashing our mentor thing. Do not trash our mentor. Just yeah, but the point is that feel free to look at the code. If you have a better understanding of Python, look at this code. It's written in Python so far, and I think jQuery for the other part of it. So just look at the code, take a look at the code, see what you can do. I'm sure if you're a Python programmer, I'm sure you will see one or two things you want to adjust. Just do that and reach out to Andrea via our Telegram group again. And then of course he, just like you heard him say now, he's really open to having that conversation as to having a better finished code for this.
I not necessarily for Python. I mean, if you're comfortable with Node.js or any other programming language, I mean, we should really look at it from the final product. But
yes,
what I was really trying to hope is we really need more code to streamline aggregating information, because if you want to write a Wikipedia article, you don't want to learn all the API languages, you don't want to learn all the Sparkle languages. You want an application that just gets the data, it presents it to the user, and we start, because the object is not to create nice code. Our objective is to get more knowledge, open knowledge into Wikipedia. And maybe I should end it there.
all right. So you've heard it from him. Hopefully we'll get more people who are interested in this. And of course, for the biodiversity team, for those of us who are on this call, the biodiversity team is also open for you to come in. I mean, you could see the different places you could come in from, either as someone who is collecting those data, or you could come in as, yeah, Dian Shitubu, you have your hand up. Feel free, go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, our mentor, for sharing this with us. The Stub Builder is actually a great platform and a great tool that will help you create so many articles at a go. So for those of us who might not find our way through the codes today, and maybe would want to watch the videos later, where we can start with the iNaturalist app by making more observations on both flora and fauna. To do that, you just have to download the iNaturalist app. I think it's on the Apple Store and also Android Play Store. Once you download that, you need to create an account, or you can log in with your Wikipedia credentials. Then you can start making observations. Now,
Okay, I think I lost him there. I don't know if it's just me.
No, it's I lost him too.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's everyone.
Okay, so I guess the one other key thing that I guess Dian Shitubu is also trying to point out is that you can still join the biodiversity team. And please if you're indicating interest to join any team, not just biodiversity team, please be committed to it. Show some level of commitment. That also encourages our mentors like Andrea. And then also, just like Dianshi Tubu is saying, if you're going to come in as, if you're joining not necessarily as from the code part of things, maybe you want to come in from the getting gathering data. Of course, Dianshi Tubu and Agnes, they are there to guide you through it. Of course, Andrea is also there. But the good thing is that Andrea has trained Dianshi Tubu and Agnes to be able to guide you, and then when it comes to the coding part, if you take a look at this code and you feel you want to make an edit or create something else, I'm honestly expecting the front end team to look at this and come up with something. So I know Temple is not here right now, but Accurate and your team, your other colleagues there in the front end team, please reach out to your mentor, show him this, just let him see if he can work with this. And it's also fine if he can't, or if he doesn't want to work with this, but just at least show him this as well. So once again, let me stop the live streaming on YouTube. For those of us who are on YouTube, remember you can always like, subscribe to this channel, and then also is there any other thing I'm forgetting about YouTube? Yeah, just like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. I did not share this YouTube link on time for today's event, but if you had your notification bell turned on, you get notification of this meeting, which is also helpful. So turn up the notification bell, and also remember to share this link to whoever you feel will be interested in learning, or who you feel will benefit from all what Wikimentor Africa has to offer. So that is it for our YouTubers.